Okay, y'all asked for it, so here we go. Y'all wanted to know what was my first time in drag, and do I have any advice for new people trying to start drag? I do. Let's go. This is the look. This is what it's giving. I'm going to show you the stage. You're going to see some of my performances. I got some more tips and tricks for you along the way. And you're going to meet some of the other performers that are here today. I'm going to ask them how they started drag and if they have any advice for any newbies. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And of course, comment. I'm here at the Sanderson Center in the same change room where I used to get ready for the first time. And the stage that I started on is the one I'm performing on today. Crazy, right? And we're gonna go into how me starting in that show got me started in drag. So we're gonna do my makeup. I'm getting ready for the meet and greet. I am here for Winters of Drag with Branford Laurier. That's kind of my origin story, but what happened then? How did I end up working with Sephora, Maybelline, Urban Decay, Jack Daniels? How does this tie into the movie that I just shot with Deborah Cox? We might also discuss the fact that when I started doing drag, I was engaged. And the person I was engaged to encouraged me to do drag and then would cheat on me while I did it. I actually was hired to be in a pantomime. The director had done Cinderella, and they were looking for dancers in the show, and they came to the dance studio that I was performing at the time. I was also teaching there at the time, and I did Cinderella with them. And so when this show came to be, she was like, I'd love for you to play Meat Hook. And I was like, okay, cool, no problem, work the world. So I ended up going to school in New York City for musical theater, and I came back. And I came home, I was so excited. You know, I had just been taught by Tony Award winners and Rockettes, and I lived in New York City. It was like all the movies that I loved watching growing up. It was like Fame and anything where like the kid goes from a small town and makes their dreams come true. And so coming back, I came back because I was engaged and it was really expensive to live in New York. And I just didn't see a space for me on Broadway. I still don't. Getting a little better, I guess, but like we need more non-binary trans people in shows. Why not? Enough. And that's not to take away from the binary. No one's trying to erase you, myself included, so calm down in the comments. There was a dance teacher at my studio who did drag. So I came back, I started teaching, and that dance teacher pulled me aside and was like, I really think you should do drag. I didn't really know what drag was. I'd seen Tu Wong Fu. I was obviously obsessed with it. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go watch it. And then I watched RuPaul's Drag Race and I became obsessed with it. And I was like, you know what? It's not a bad idea. I remember really enjoying performing as Meat Hook. So, like, maybe. Back then, people didn't date drag queens. That wasn't a thing. There's so much internalized homophobia surrounding feminine qualities in people, and it's just also based on misogyny, which needs to go the fuck away. So I spoke to my then fiance, and he was all for it. My family and friends were all for it. They're like, we think you should do it. You know, we saw you in that show. We think you'd be really good at this. I hummed and hawed because it wasn't exactly what I pictured doing growing up. And so I was like, I just don't know. I don't know if this is the vibe for me. They bugged me enough that I did a show. And I did my first show at Embassy Nightclub in Hamilton, Ontario. It was myself, Xtacy Love, Gina Hamilton, and Perez Hamilton. And my mom came, and my best friend Steph came, and my ex-fiance showed up, and there was like a whole bunch of people that came and supported me, and it just felt something clicked for me. One of my earliest memories of my birth father, I said that I had wanted a dress, and I'll never forget this. He lost his mind. He was like, do you think you're a girl? All of this stuff. Like, should you be asking Santa for that? Just like, this man, he wasn't ready to be a father. I think that kind of threw me off because it was so instilled within me that that wasn't allowed when later on I found out in life it brought me so much joy. Stevie, an old friend of mine, was Cinderella, and she would get so mad because they started straightening my hair, and you know, I would let the makeup girls do more and more makeup on me for the show. And I remember in this room, because during Cinderella, this was her change room. I remember during Cinderella, the one day she was like, it's not fair. You keep getting more and more beautiful. I don't get to wear all of that kind of makeup until later on in the show, because, you know, Cinderella's not the most glamorous character until Miss Bippity Boppity Boo comes in. I think that really resonated with me and kind of touched me and made me go, oh, makeup is magic. And I always wanted to have magic in my life. And that was my way to get it. After the reviews came in, like the proper reviews, I got really great reviews, and it just always kind of sat in the back of my head when I was in school. I knew there was something I used to like to put on. Like, I had this dress that I had found from a costume department, and I had it, and no one knows this, but I used to put it on, and it brought me so much joy, even though the world told me, like, no, you're not supposed to wear that. Now, you have to remember, back then, it was different. People weren't booking campaigns. There was RuPaul, there was Dame Edna, and that was it. And like the girls weren't girling. That wasn't an option. And so it was really scary, but I was like, okay, maybe I can do this and still audition out of drag for things. And after my first number, the person who did the bookings for the show came up to me and was like, we want to book you here. And I didn't know what to do. And my friends and family were like, just do it. Who cares? Just try it. And thank goodness they did, because baby, it has been a whirlwind ever since. Back then, girls would do free shows all the time. It wasn't like how it is now. And I know that's hard to believe, but it's the truth. And so I would drive to Hamilton 2 times a week. I was every Thursday, every Sunday. And occasionally I would have my own shows, which also didn't happen. Like this idea of like, you put on a wig and you're in drag now, and you put on some clothes and you're in drag. Yes, drag has evolved and changed 100%. But back then, you weren't booked. Like that wasn't like absolutely, that was not a thing. You had to be a performer. You had to be like stunting. Like it was just a different time for drag. And so back then, where now like Drag Race is kind of how you build your name and your brand and all of that stuff, even though I haven't been on it. Back then it was pageants. Pageants and competitions was how you built your name. So I said, okay, I really like this. Let's compete for a pageant. Let's compete for a competition. And I did. And I won. Back in the day, there was this queen. Her name was Candace, rest her soul. She was such a sweetheart. And she hosted a competition called Candace's Star Search at Cruise and Tangos. And so I went and competed. And I won. And part of winning was getting a booking at Cruise the following week, and you would work with her. And a lot of places still do stuff like that. The girl who did the bookings at Cruise and Tangos, her name is Visa Decline now. She went by a different name back then, but we respect people's names. When they tell you just use their name, it's really not that hard. It's truly not. It's truly not. And she said, we're doing a competition called Cruise and Tangos Drag Race. And obviously I had heard of it because big named girls did it. And the first winner was Vitality Black. And I was like, okay, cool. And the second season was happening, and she's like, we're about to start the third. I think you should do it. And I said, okay, what's it entail? And she said, well, there's a fan vote. And that stressed me out because the only friends that I had in Toronto at the time were people that were on stage. So she told me to think about it. And bitch, did I ever. I thought about it a lot. And then I did my first show at Cruise. And I fell in love. And I said, I need to do this. And so I said, okay. Now, Cruise and Tango's Drag Race is like boot camp. They're not doing it currently at the moment, but I hope they bring it back. But that was how you learned so much, at least I did. So I went in, it's 8 weeks of competition. 8. It's a lot. It's the entire summer, plus some because of all of the holidays. You would take those off. And so I competed, and I won.
I love Xtacy!
Tonight, your winner and Church Street's newest rising star is Xtacy Love! Congratulations, sweetheart! Check it out, check it out.
Lord, okay. First of all, for putting on this amazing competition and allowing us a place to perform and show our art for you guys. We put so much work into this. We're seamstresses, we're choreographers, we're stylists, and it just is an amazing artistic outlet. So thank you all. Thank you, everyone that works at Cruise and Tangos for doing this.
And it was a big deal because since I won, it became like more of a newcomers competition where it was like boot camp, and that's how we would discover like the next star. And that was honestly, like humbly, it was because I went in and won and changed the game up. That same year I went and won Miss Cruise. And from there, baby, it exploded. I started doing Saturdays and Fridays at Cruise and Tangos, and I would work with Daytona Bitch on the Fridays and Brooklyn Heights on the Saturdays. And it was so fun. I was Miss Cruise during World Pride. That was really, really special. I remember they sent me to this dinner, and Katie Lang came out and sang, and Boo from Orange is the New Black, and I remember calling my mom and just being like, this is so surreal. It was very random, but, you know, World Pride stuff, I guess. I'm just so grateful. So if it wasn't for Xtacy Love putting me in my first show in Hamilton and giving me that bug, and then Visa Decline coming up and putting it in my ear, I think you should compete for this competition, I really don't know that I would have pushed as hard to follow this dream back then, because it wasn't. At that time, Tyra Sanchez had just won season 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race. So keep that in mind. It wasn't what it is now. And I'm so grateful I got to go on this journey. So I start working with all of these people that I looked up to. The first drag queen I ever saw was at Cruise and Tangos live in person, and it was Heavenly Heights. And that show was Heavenly Heights and Fahrenheit. And Fahrenheit went and won Miss Continental Plus, and it was such a huge deal. That was the same time that I did all of this, and so I knew of her, and I thought it was really cool because she was in the States. She was traveling the States. I'd never heard of that. That was epic. So I kind of became obsessed with Miss Continental Plus because of Fahrenheit. And like I said, back then, the way to build your name was to win competitions. And at the same time, Brooklyn was competing. I believe she was competing for, what was she competing for? Entertainer of the Year at that time, I believe. And then she went and won Miss Continental. And when she won Miss Continental, I took over the Saturday shows. So cut to, I end up being asked to compete for National Showgirl at Large. And Fahrenheit went and won it, and they were doing a prelim. And it was actually set up for Carlotta Carlisle to qualify to go compete. And I still want her to go. So Carlotta, I know you're not watching this, but Carlotta, if you were to ever see this, I hope you do come compete because you are a showgirl. Down. I was like, okay, well, I'll do the prelim, whatever. And so I did the prelim, and I got sent to nationals where I went and won. And at that time, that made me one of 4 Canadians to ever win a national title. It was Tulsi, Brooklyn Heights, Fahrenheit, and myself. And now Xtacy, who you know from Canada's Drag Race, is also a double national title holder in the States. So there's 5 of us now. Gag. Fast forward, I became the youngest head judge to sit on a national panel because they brought me on to start judging, because, reminder, certified dance adjudicator. And so they brought me on to judge National Showgirl Pageantry, which I'm still involved with, and now I'm their head judge. Okay, so let's get to some advice for people starting drag. So when I would teach dance, and I have a Miss Dance World under my belt as somebody that I helped train, I always taught the kids the same thing. 1, art is subjective. So everyone's going to have an opinion on it. So the second that you are done, whatever it is you're presenting to the world, the second you leave that stage, hold on to the feeling of that before anybody talks to you. Before, somebody gets a chance to critique it, whatever it is. Then from there, when they do give you critiques, hold on to the parts that make sense for you and for your art. Maybe someone has some good advice for you. Chances are they do. You don't always want to hear it. And even though somebody thinks they have good advice, doesn't mean they do. Myself included. So take the parts from what they've told you that you like, that you enjoy, that resonate with you, and use that. Other piece of advice that I give, and this is a piece of advice that I also told my drag daughter, Priyanka, winner of Canada's Drag Race Season 1. pop icon. She's also now on We're Here. Ooh, the girls are here. Hello! How are we? Mwah, mwah, nice to see you. It's like vlogging.
Yeah, let me be in your vlog.
How are you?
Hi, girls. So it is giving Dora. I'm never gonna do a bob again, but you get the vibe.
Show the wig, show the wig, show the wig.
It's a half wig. I'm not
Show
showing
the
the wig.
I love it. I love it. And I'm like used to getting ready down here because when I did shows here, this was the station that I used. You know, I'm extra. Well, girl, I'm too fat.
Extra.
Y'all have those good knees. I don't. Okay, we're back. The cast just came in. I heard the girlies, and Manny just came in as well, so he's here, which is so fun. Such a great cast. I forget where I was. The advice that I gave Priyanka, and that I give anybody that I care enough to give advice to, so that means y'all, because you're here. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Also, if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? What are you doing? Thank you for hanging out, but please subscribe. We've got all kinds of content coming out here, so make sure you do that. But the advice that I give is make sure that you know who you are as an artist, and deliver it to the best of your abilities at all times. Keep an eye on what you're doing, but stay in your lane and hit fast forward. The reason why I say stay in your lane is not, don't come for anybody else, don't be competitive. It's not about that. You can be healthily competitive, but you don't want to fixate on becoming someone else. I think that too many people fall into the category of worrying about what other people are doing. When you start getting into that, then the comparison comes in. And what was the first piece of advice that I said? Hold on to the art that you present. Be proud of it. The second you are done presenting it, whether it's media, whether it's modeling, whether it's on stage, whatever it is for you, when you're done presenting it, hold on to that feeling that you get. Use those critiques. Because when you start comparing yourself to other girls and you're like, oh, I don't split. Oh, I'm not a look queen. Oh, you don't have to be anything. Drag is an art form. Celebrate the art form the way you choose to present it. Some other advice that I have for performers starting out, and I've been referring mostly to queens because that's typically what I'm asked. I don't really know if it applies to kings, but for the art form in general, a great piece of advice is when you are starting out, build up your wardrobe. So start thinking about 3 solid looks. Most shows you're going to be in, you're going to do at least 2 numbers. And it's okay to outfit repeat. But to start out, it's expensive. It's a business. So start with a couple of really strong looks, you know? Come out the gate swinging. Practice your makeup every day. Find a new feature that you want to work on. So maybe your eye makeup is a little bit wrong. Work on it. That's the best way to do it. Erase it. Try it again. Try different eye shapes. Find the shape that you like. Perfect that. And then go from there. Other things that you can think about. You want to get in shows. What are you bringing to the show? What is your skill set? Are you a performer? Are you a comedian? Are you going to turn a look? What's that going to mean for, if you're a look performer, what's that mean for you in terms of performance? Like what kind of numbers are you going to do? How are you going to keep that audience in the room? How do you get booked in a show? Support the shows that you want to get booked in. The more that you are at these establishments, tagging them on socials, tagging the performers, showing up, showing out. Show up and turn a look. Why not? Maybe they'll ask you to get on stage and perform. Kind of doubtful usually for residency places, at least in Canada. In the States, it's a little more like that. So go and support the shows that you want to become a part of. That goes a long way. I promise you, that goes a long, long way. People notice. They start to take note and they go, okay, you know, this bitch is here all the time. Why don't we just add her to the roster and see what happens? Why don't we take a chance on her? You know, she's always supporting us. Why don't we support her? Or they, or him, you know, or ze, them, or whatever pronouns you use, my darling. The point is, get your ass to the shows that you want to be a part of. You can't just expect things to happen for you sitting at home complaining about it and posting it on social media. Doesn't work. Find out who's booking what shows. Ask them what they're looking for. Maybe you're a performer who is specifically an aesthetic, and that's great, and people live for that. And maybe the show that you go to doesn't really have that kind of entertainer. Be like, hey, I feel like this would be a really cool space for me to learn how to coexist and like get stronger at performing, but I want to turn some really cool looks in your show, and I think that'd be a great asset. Is this an option? If not, what can I do to get better at it so that you'll consider me? Get into competitions. If there's competitions, do them. If you're a performer and you're not getting booked, do an open stage. Maybe you've been doing drag for a long time and you're like, I shouldn't be doing open stages. Lose that. Lose it. Are you doing it for the money? Are you doing it for the art form? Maybe it's a long time before you make money in drag. Unless you are blessed to get on Drag Race, it's not just a golden ticket. You need to know how to do the work. So how do you do the work? You show up, you show out, you're polite, you're professional, you show up beforehand, you're kind to everybody in that change room because you never know who's going to be booking. You're kind to the audience. Go say hi. Those people are the reason you are there. They're the reason the bar is open. They're the reason the venue exists. They're the reason you get to put a wig on your head and twirl. They're the reason why I have the life I have. Be kind to these people. They're people. They're not customers. Ugh. They're not. They are people who are there that love the art of drag, who are supporting queer artists. And they probably matter the most, in my opinion, in that building. Because without them, I'd be back here where I am right now in Brantford, Ontario, with a wig on my head singing Little Mermaid in a mirror. But because of their love and support, because of your love and support, I've been able to travel the world and do such incredible things. And I just, oh my God, I don't want to cry. I'm just really grateful. So, I'm using my makeup thing. Just be nice to them. I see a lot of people mistreat them, and it really irks me. And then they wonder why they're not put back in shows. And I'm like, well, girl, you were so rude to that person. They're just trying to have fun and enjoy the art. Don't ruin it for them. Don't ruin it for yourself. You owe it to yourself and your art. Okay, I did some highlighter. I did my liner. It took a second. But we're back. This piece of advice you might not want to hear, but drag is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And so you might end up trying drag and realizing maybe doing it at a professional level isn't for you. And that's okay. That's the part of the advice you want to hear. That's okay. It's overwhelming. It's a ton. You're starting a new business. And I don't think people really think of it in that way. And I think it's important to let you know ahead of time. It's not a walk in the park. You make it look easy. A lot of people don't consider it work because they think you're just partying because you're inside of a bar, etc. It's a ton of work. You're a promoter. You are advertising. You are the artist. You're the choreographer. Oftentimes you're the costumer. Also, another piece of advice, if you're starting out, learn how to sew. Learn how to sew and learn how to do a style of hair. Darling, it's a lot of money you'll save. But the reality is not everybody enjoys the work, and that's okay. I think in today's age we're kind of taught like everything we do has to be a hustle, and everything we do we need to succeed at and turn it into $1 billion business. And you know, for a lot of us that's great, but not everybody is that way, and that's also okay. You're allowed to just love the art form and participate in it. But if you want to do it at a professional level, it's a different type of energy, it's a different approach, and it's a different work ethic. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And that's why a lot of the more seasoned queens will tell you, don't do it. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I think everyone should experience the magic of drag. If you want to do it at a professional level and you're getting frustrated, those are some helpful tips that will hopefully help you along the way. I'm gonna go get dressed, put my body on, and be right back. I also need to throw on some lashes. Maybe I won't, maybe I'll be edgy. Ooh, no lash day. Okay, I am ready for the meet and greet. I want to know from you, if you've done drag, let me know. What was your first time in drag like? Do you have any advice for any newbies in drag? Do you have anything that you wish you would have known before you started drag? Let me know in the comments, because I definitely read them. So, I will see you in there. I'm dropping shit. I'm just getting ready now for my next number. I'm gonna bring on some of the cast and ask them what they think, if they have a piece of advice for newbies starting out, and what their start was like. If you want to hear from the cast, here we go.
Hello everybody, my name is Manny Dingo and I'm really happy to be here. I think my first thing that I would have known is that you can try and do everything. I first started as a king, obviously. Well, I mean, it's not really obvious, but you see the stash. When I first started, I started doing drag king, but I started branching off. I tried to be a drag queen. I was a club kid. I was a gender performer. I was doing gender FUCK. But I think that within all of those realms, I learned how to deal with makeup and I learned how to solidify myself as a performer on stage. which allowed me to express myself in many different ways. And that's why I think that like being a drag king, I'm not inherently supposed to know that I'm supposed to be masculine. And I just think that when you first start doing drag, it is a gender expression, but I don't think you have to adhere to anything specifically or within the binary.
I love that. That's perfect. Thank you. So, like, a piece of advice or something you wish you had known when you started drag for new ones.
Hello, I'm the Virgo Queen here, and a piece of advice I wish I was given when I began drag is probably just to believe in your unique artistry and to like create art that is special and like you vibe with on your own. You don't have to copy anyone else, and you don't have to do what anyone else says. You should just create your own, because authenticity is super interesting and people are going to love that. So just be as true to yourself as possible. Yeah. Piece of hair grease.
Yes,
Is that good?
I'm so
Xtacy
good.
taught me that.
That was perfect.
Xtacy taught me that one.
And she exhibits it perfectly.
Also, wear a dark lip. Even darker than this, probably.
It depends on the stage you're on. Otherwise, it looks like you have no lipstick on.
Advice I give to any new performer starting drag is stop listening to people. Which I know is so contradictory to what I'm saying, but do you. Whatever feels like you, do that. If you ever hear something that doesn't feel like you, don't do it, because you're only going to like stunt yourself and like hold yourself. So like be you through and through. If you look a hot mess, that's fine. We all looked a hot mess when we started. You're gonna be perfectly fine if you believe and trust in yourself always.
I love that.
That's been like my piece of advice, like for myself. Yeah. Are you doing one?
Gays can't sit in chairs though.
No. That part.
Also, this is
A piece of advice. Woo. I'm falling.
Thank you.
okay?
Did you do it?
No.
Oh.
I can't sit down.
Wait, here. Why don't we hold it?
Yeah.
Oh, or yeah, stand. Sorry.
Yeah, or stand. Either or.
Yeah.
Yes.
A piece of advice I would have for a new drag up and comer would be to stay humble. Life can be crazy and there will be 1,000,005 gigs and people will tell you 1,000,005 things. That you are the top tier, you are the best, you are iconic. You are. But stay humble, let it get to your head, and remember who you are through and through. And a piece of advice I wish I knew when I started was your performances won't go as planned, your wigs will fall off, be a mess, have fun, be flirty.
That's hot. I love that.
That was so good.
I love that. Oh my
So
God.
good. Look at all this professional advice for all of you. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you go follow them on socials. If you have more questions, let us know. Mwah. Mwah. Don't forget to lead with critical thinking, compassion, kindness, and empathy for those around you. And don't forget that you're included in that. You're around yourself. Be kind to yourself. I love you so much. Till next time. Mwah.